Hi, this is Devin Orell, and this is Group One's project over abortion. The PowerPoint that you read today, I hope that you found informative, and it gave you a little bit of knowledge and some tools to use in your future discussions with pro-choice and abortion advocates. Instead of going into the PowerPoint deeper, because you guys can read, we're just going to touch a little bit, and then we're going to go deeper and give you some better tools to help you discuss with a pro-choice or abortion advocate. First off, going through each one of our authors that we discussed with, J. Warner Wallace, I really enjoyed his writings because he just kind of gave you each one of those little points that the abortion advocates like to use. The problem with that is that if you read that, it's very analytical. I mean, it's great reading, but it was very analytical and very matter of fact. And unfortunately, when we're discussing these things in such a volatile matter, that approach is not going to work. So we need to show some love and be an ambassador of Christ and love them and help educate them that way. So if you were going to use Wallace's stuff, which I think is an incredible way to go, you're going to have to kind of soften that up a little bit. Not take the sharpness off it, but just soften your the way your approach. Soften your approach. The next guy was Tim Keller. Now, Keller was good. I've seen some of his works before, and he's a very loving individual. But when this came to it, he acknowledges that abortion is the issue of social injustice, and which we all feel that it is, and it should be prevented. Unfortunately, he really didn't give us a way of how it should be prevented, except for that, yes, the people in the womb should be protected and they should be prevented from doing harm to them. So the problem is that, pushing those moral behaviors before we lift up Christ, well, it's called religion. And Jesus himself told us to be warned of, be wary of that. So that's something to also be careful of when you're talking to these people. N.T. Wright, very interesting. He just said abortion's not the main issue. And I thought that was kind of cool. Because if we look at it, it's really not. It's the main issue is our wayward beliefs of just going off feelings instead of, it's the postmodern dilemma. We like to pick and mix our culture. If it feels good, do it kind of thing. But his thing was, his solution was that we have to tell the story of the gospel, and not in fragmented stories, but to tell it as a whole. And which is beautiful because, we have to demonstrate the gospel. That love is the main narrative. And that's the one thing that we have to do. And then we have to demonstrate biblical promises, and that we must demonstrate a biblical way of knowing. So those are just some of the things there that I hope you took away from the PowerPoint there. One of the things that dealing with abortion that is very, very interesting, that people get extremely upset, and they're very, very on edge and just electric almost. So unfortunately, I have been in one of those discussions before. Unfortunately, I did not give any of these things there. It turned out well, but at the same time, I wish I had a little bit more knowledge. But the thing is that there's an acronym to go deeper, is called the SLED, SLED. And basically, the SLED is an acronym for size, level of development, environment, and degree. Now, why is this important? Well, it's important because most of these pro-choice abortion advocates believe that the child inside the mother is not a person. And that's usually the starting point of everything. It's not a person, so why worry about it? But here's the cool thing is that we need to ask them why they believe that. And we have to give that burden of proof on them. So anything that they say, we can go back and with a question. So if they say, well, the size, it's so small, well, you can come back with that first letter, size. Well, the unborn is clearly smaller than a born human. but it's hard to reason how that difference of size disqualifies someone from being a person. I mean, you can say, well, this 4-year-old is smaller than this 14-year-old. So because she's smaller, do we have the right to kill her? And so more times than not, or hopefully, they say, oh, well, that's true. We can't kill this 4-year-old. Okay, so there we go. Now the level of development is another one. There's like, well, that unborn is not developed like a human being. Well, but again, you can ask them, well, how does this disqualify someone from being a person? I mean, we can go back to that 4-year-old. That 4-year-old can't bear children because her reproductive system is not fully developed. And that 14-year-old, well, she can have children now because her reproductive system is developed. So does that make that 4-year-old any less of a person? And the answer, again, should be no. But, of course we can't tell them that, but they will reason that on themselves. Then the next one is environment. And the unborn is located in a different environment than a born human. So, again, how does your location affect your value? So if we're saying that an astronaut who walks in space, and that's a radically different environment than on Earth, so does that disqualify him from being a person because he's at a different location? Or a scuba diver who's at the swimming in the ocean, or someone who's a spelunker just because they're in a cave because of their environment, does that make them less of a person? So how could a 7-inch journey through a birth canal magically transform a value less human into a valuable person? Nothing has changed except their location. And the last one is degree of dependency. The unborn is dependent upon the mother's body for nutrients and a proper environment. So it's hard to see, though, how depending on another person disqualifies you from being a person. Newborns and toddlers still depend on their parents to provide nutrition in a safe environment. And some third world countries require to be breastfed because formula is not available. So can a mother kill her newborn son because it depends on her body for nutrition? Or imagine you alone witnessed a toddler fall into a swimming pool. Would you be justified in declaring him not valuable simply because he depended on you for survival? No. So that just, so now, although the toddlers and teens differ from each other in the SLED categories, we don't disqualify toddlers from personhood. Since born and unborn humans differ in exactly the same ways, we cannot disqualify the unborn from personhood either. Now, there's other tactics to go. I mean, if you look at the beginning with Wallace and how he gave very specific responses to these statements that the atheists or the pro-choice and pro-abortion people gave. And these are just some of them. There's tons of literature out there, and that's going to help you. If this is one of your calling, that information is out there. And if you have any more questions, you can email me, and I can send you some more information on that. I hope this was informative to you. I hope that this was kind of a fun thing for you guys to understand and listen to. And thank you again so much. God bless you guys. Bye.